Hey, welcome everyone to the first episode of the Primal Shift podcast. I'm super excited you're here and that you're interested in making the Primal Shift with me. This podcast idea has been in the working, or at least in my head, for a long time, and finally the stars aligned and I managed to make it happen. So I'm super thrilled about that, and thank you so much for being here with me. Now, in today's episode, it's kind of like an extended introduction. I want to tell you a little bit about what the Primal Shift is all about, why I decided to make the Primal Shift, why I think it's necessary to make that shift in our modern world, and what some of the issues are that I've not only experienced myself, but that I see every day around me, and that I think can be easily solved by making certain changes in your lifestyle and bringing back some of those ancestral principles that our bodies were designed to be exposed to. In other words, I think that our bodies were made or designed for an environment that no longer exists. And that causes certain health issues. I see it every day. People have gut issues. They have trouble falling asleep, losing weight. They have skin issues, cardiovascular issues, metabolic issues. If you look around, who can you really say is healthy? Does not have any issues that are lifestyle induced. Most people would fall into the sick category to varying degrees, and I don't think that has to be like that. You can easily change it, take your health under your control, and with this podcast, my goal is to share with you actionable, very easily digestible nuggets of information that you can implement right away to improve your health and well-being. And to start, maybe let me tell you a little bit about my journey and how I came to be in this position and start sharing what I've learned, because obviously I didn't come out of my mom's womb deciding that I want to be a health influencer or that I want to eat a certain way or live a certain way. This was a process that happened over decades, and I think one of the major milestones in my health journey was the realization that the gut issues that I had for 3 decades were not normal. Even though, in the first 3 decades of my life, I thought that bloating, constipation, the occasional diarrhea, just that pain and pressure in my stomach after eating, that's part of life, for various reasons, because I've never experienced anything else. But also my dad has had gut issues all of his life, and he still has, because he has not yet made the Primal Shift, unfortunately. And his dad died of the age of, I think, 48 of stomach cancer. So gut issues, let's say, run in the family. And so I figured, well, it just is what it is. But then one day we ran into a couple at a childbirth preparation class. So that was when my wife was pregnant with our daughter, and we connected with that couple. They were Latinos, much like, my wife is Latina. And so we connected on that level, I guess, and we became really good friends. And over time, I figured out this dude is eating differently. He doesn't eat most of the things that we eat. And so I asked him, and he said, well, I'm on a paleo diet. And I'm like, what is that? And he's like, well, I'm trying to mimic the diet that our ancestors had for 2.6 million years as part of human evolution. I'm like, okay, well, you do you, I'm fine. But the more and more I thought about what he was doing, and the more he was explaining to me why he was doing it, the more I realized, maybe this is something I can at least try. Changing a diet is tough. I know, I've done it several times in the last couple of years only. I know that it was tough, but one day I woke up and said, you know what, I want to give it a try. I'm going to do this. I'm going to start on a paleo diet. And I did this. And within 10 days, my gut issues were gone. And I'm like, whoa, this is amazing. I can eat now, and I no longer have to circle around the bathroom or plan my entire day around when I can go have my potty break. My stomach doesn't hurt anymore. I don't have this, bloating and like if someone inflated a balloon in my stomach. All of those issues were suddenly gone. And I'm like, this is amazing. The only thing I changed was removing a bunch of food categories from my diet. I mean, who knew? And as part of that, I realized that it was not only my gut health that has dramatically changed, but suddenly I had energy. I'm like, whoa, where is all this energy coming from? I'm getting older and I'm feeling more energetic. I'm becoming physically fitter. And mind you, I was the 5th fastest 100-meter sprinter in Europe in 2001 in my age category. So I was pretty fit when I was in my early 20s. And the older I get, I'm becoming fitter and fitter. That should not be possible. We should be deteriorating. But evidently, I never really ate, slept, or did anything else in my life that was conducive to optimal health. And so that was the major milestone where I realized that what we are doing, what we've been told is, how we should eat and how we should sleep and how we should, handle certain things is absolutely not conducive to optimal health. There are a lot of misconceptions and just things that humans have been doing for not really a good reason as far as health is concerned. And when I realized that, I started questioning everything. And my wife got pretty annoyed with that, I have to tell you, because I started questioning literally every single thing, and I realized, it's not only nutrition, it's sleep, it's light, either the exposure to natural sunlight, which I've always been, I hated the sun. Not the sun, but more so being in the sun. I hated sunscreen, which I guess was a good thing to a degree. But for me, that meant just staying out of the sun or being covered up. I remember a couple of years ago, we went to Austria and we met up with my brother and his wife and the kids, and we went to a public swimming pool kind of thing. And I was covered like in a rash guard. And she's like, what a waste of body, covering everything up. And I'm like, well, I don't want to, expose my skin to sun. And then I realized this is BS. We need to be exposed to sun. And the only reason why I had sunburns and sun allergies and whatever itchy stuff was because my diet was crap. And so by changing all of that, we realized, and I realized that we are doing everything the wrong way. And I'm someone who can be fairly extreme. I'm a kind of black or white guy. And if I see something that I want to do and that I want to accomplish, I go all in and I don't care about the consequences. I bulldoze over everything in my way to get to where I want to get. And obviously, that's not socially acceptable all the time. And so in particular in our family setting, I realized we need a different approach to this. We need to figure out how can we improve our life in a way that we can afford, because it seems like doing stuff right is expensive. Buying, healthy food is expensive. Buying healthy clothing is expensive. Buying healthy skincare products is expensive or more expensive. And so we needed to figure out how can we do this that's financially responsible, that's conducive to still maintaining a somewhat modern life. And how can we do this as a family? Because if you're on your own, if I was just me, I could do whatever I want to. It doesn't really matter what someone else thinks. I do me. But with a partner, with kids, with animals, with livestock, with friends, with all of those, make things more complicated. And so my goal in this podcast is to share with you not only things that work, because most of you, I would assume, know what's right. Not in every case, maybe, and I'm learning every day too, but for the most part, I think a lot of people know what they should be doing. They just don't know how to go about implementing those things. And so my goal with the podcast is to really go into, all of the core pillars of what I consider that make up a healthy life, nutrition, obviously, exercise and fitness, sleep, stress management, tribalism and belonging, environmental toxins, hormesis, exposure to natural or to good stressors, all of those things, but explain them in a way that you can implement as part of a family setting, or if you're by yourself or with a partner, doesn't really matter, but in a way that makes them actionable and easy to implement. It's not always easy, but at least it's doable. And I know it's doable because if I can do that, mind you, my wife's Costa Rican, I'm from Austria. We come from completely different backgrounds. Our kids are American, or, they have 3 citizenships, but nevertheless, they were born here. So they are, American, y'all. And so this is a somewhat complex environment because of the vast differences in our upbringing, in our cultures and beliefs. And I believe that if we could make that work, then you can as well. And that's really the goal now of my podcast, to help you find the way to show you a roadmap or a blueprint that you can implement at your own pace. Because I strongly believe that if you just improve something, a little thing every day, you're gonna end up somewhere where you want to end up without taking huge leaps and maybe without being quite as aggressive as black and white as I was, because I know that this is difficult and not conducive to happy marriage and all of those things. So you have to be a little bit more nuanced. There are ways to do that, and I'm going to show you how. So hopefully you stick around, you subscribe. But before we wrap it up, I want to talk about a little bit about MK Supplements. This is a brand that my wife and I launched 2 years ago. It's about freeze-dried beef organ supplements, because we've realized that if there is one low-hanging fruit, no pun intended, on how you can improve your health is to make sure that your body gets all the nutrients, the vitamins, the minerals, the peptides, the enzymes, cofactors, etc., that it needs to thrive in a stressful environment, which very often increases your nutrient demands. And so we started a freeze-dried beef organ supplement brand that delivers, as the name implies, freeze-dried beef organs. And why beef organs? Because they are the most nutrient-dense foods on the planet as far as I'm concerned. And it's the easiest way to make sure you get all the nutrients into your body as part of your diet without necessarily the hassle and the taste and the texture and everything that comes with it of consuming fresh organs. Now, I encourage you to consume fresh organs. We do it as often as we can. But even in our, where we are fans of organ meat, or at least I am a fan of organ meat, it doesn't happen every day. And especially with the kids and, family and everything, just using freeze-dried capsules that contain the same nutrients as the fresh organs, or very close to it at least, is very easy and convenient. And I have a special discount code for my listeners here. If you use code Primal Shift, one word, on shop.michaelkummer.com, you get 15% off your first purchase. And with that, we're going to wrap up the first episode. Stay tuned for more. We're going to talk all about those things that are just briefly covered in this episode in much more detail and with actionable information that you can implement today. See you next time.